These are the top 10 cities where home prices are dropping right now and where they will likely crash even further into the future. If you're a home buyer or an investor, you better be very careful buying in these cities. Additionally, if you're a homeowner in these areas, watch out. Your Zillow home value estimate could be plummeting very, very soon. Starting with our number 10 city where home prices are dropping right now. This is an area that everyone said was going to keep booming. People said prices would never drop here. However, in Nashville, Tennessee, we are now experiencing an inventory explosion of epic proportions. With the for sale inventory on the Nashville housing market spiking from only 2,000 homes 3 years ago to over 7,000 homes today. Now, these higher levels of inventory are starting to force sellers in Nashville to cut the price, and in some cases, cut the price by a lot. Like on this listing, everyone, take a look at what's going on here. This owner actually bought the property back last year for $804,000 and now has it listed for $730,000. So the owner of this house is now taking a $70,000 loss in less than a year. A situation that we're going to see even more of in our number 9 housing market where prices are dropping right now. This is yet another market that everyone said was going to keep booming. Lots of people moved to this city during the pandemic. However, not so much anymore in Dallas, Texas. In Dallas, a massive 31% of sellers cut the price on their listing in the most recent month. You can see that that's the highest price cut rate that we've seen in the DFW Metro going back at least 7 to 8 years. With these price cuts coming hot and heavy in Dallas County, Collin County, and Tarrant County. Particularly on this brand new build, everyone. It's a 3-bed, 3-bath. Pretty nice looking on the inside, right? Well, the builders now had to cut the price from $475,000 down to $420,000, a 12% reduction, and it's still been on the market for 78 days. And so I need to be really clear about something for you guys. In case you're confused, in case you're reading the mainstream news headlines and thinking the housing market's still going up, newsflash, it's not. At least in these cities, it's not. Because in these cities on this list, we're seeing the trifecta, what I call the trifecta of a housing market downturn, which is higher inventory, higher price cuts, and declining list prices. When you see that trifecta of things start to occur, that means the market's in a downturn, and that if you're a buyer, you'd probably be better off waiting at least for the next 3 to 6 months to see how the market shakes out, because many of these cities have massive, massive downside. Particularly our number 8 housing market where prices are dropping right now. This is a city that crashed really hard in the last downturn. Prices went down by over 50%. And yet, so many people got tricked into thinking that this city was different this time. They said, oh, all the remote workers are moving in. All the people from California are moving in and buying up the homes in cash. Well, not anymore in Phoenix, Arizona. Because check this out, everyone. In Phoenix, the number of homes on the market has gone up an astounding 80% over the last year. From 9,000 homes a year ago to over 16,000 homes today, the highest inventory level that we've seen since 2017, which indicates home prices are heading down. Now, I need to be clear about something, everyone. Just because prices have started dropping, and that's because there's a lot of price cuts, doesn't mean that prices are cheap. Like, if you were to go still buy a house in Phoenix, it's gonna feel expensive in many cases. Like, for instance, this is a 2-bed, 2-bath, 2,000 square feet. It's on the market for $390,000, which is a lot more than it would have cost 5 to 7 years ago. This is yet another flip where they did a renovation of the interior. Now, you guys can let me know if you think they've cut the price enough. They listed it for sale $465,000 in February, which was about $200,000 more than what they bought it for, and of course then they had to put in renovations. They've since cut the price from $465,000 down to $389,000. So that's a pretty substantial price cut, but I wonder, are they gonna have to cut the price by even more? 119 days on the market. Now, I don't want to be totally negative here on the housing market, everyone. I think some of the cities on this list are good places to buy and could be good places to buy in the future, particularly our number 7 housing market where prices are dropping right now. This has actually been a long-term favorite housing market of mine. I actually know a bunch of people who bought in this housing market because of my recommendations on this channel. However, I do have some bad news. Prices are starting to go down in Huntsville, Alabama. You can see that if we open up ReVenture app, which is the program I'm using in this video that you guys should check out at the end of this video, we can see that the median listing price in Huntsville is down a massive 9% year over year. It's also down 13% in nearby Decatur, as well as 7% up north in Tennessee. So we have a pocket here of declines on the Tennessee-Alabama border. In addition, the price cut rate in Huntsville is at 33% of all listings, which is now the highest level on record. So once again, when you see declining list prices and surging price cuts, that's a signal that the market is in a downturn. However, I think Huntsville is probably a good bet to appreciate in the long term, like over the next 10 years, because prices there are still fairly affordable and it's one of the fastest growing cities in America with actually a very highly educated and high income population. However, I am less bullish on our number 6 housing market where prices are declining right now. This is an area in America that is getting absolutely walloped by what I call a wall of inventory. A wall of inventory is now smashing into this housing market. There's so much supply hitting the market. Investors are selling, builders are liquidating homes, and you also have now a lot of existing owners starting to move out of this city, many who moved in the last 2 years, which means that home prices in San Antonio, yeah, they're dropping right now. You can see here, if we look at the inventory map of Texas, San Antonio has over 10,000 homes on the market for sale. Now, when we look at what that looks like historically, you can see the problem, the wall of inventory that I referred to before. We have never seen anything close to 10,000 homes on the market this time of year in San Antonio. The previous high was 8,900. So we are seeing an excess supply situation in central Texas that suggests prices down. You can see the Reventure app home price forecast score for San Antonio is at 32 out of 100 based off the trends in recent appreciation, days on the market, mortgage rates, inventory, and price cuts. And encouragingly, everyone, the Reventure app home price forecast score I've developed and I've told you guys a lot about over the last couple months on this channel has actually proved very accurate in forecasting the cities and the markets that are experiencing declines. And so if you're someone who wants an insight into where prices are heading in the future, you can go to www.reventure.app and then sign up for a premium membership and hit that home price forecast score to see Reventure app's projections for where prices are heading in all the different metros, counties, and zip codes in America. You definitely want to check out this score for your zip code. Now, folks, we're going to take it up another level with our number 5 housing market where prices are dropping right now. This is an area which is starting to hit what I call a free fall. The bottom has now fallen out of this housing market, and many owners are starting to freak out because they're seeing the writing on the wall. Many of these owners, like many of these other cities, they thought the prices would never drop. They heard the narrative that prices would keep going up. All the realtors and mortgage brokers said prices would keep going up here. Everyone's going to keep moving here. Well, that was incorrect in Tampa, Florida. Because if, again, we open up the Reventure app inventory map, you can see in Tampa, St. Pete, there's 15,200 homes on the market. This is, once again, the highest level of inventory that we have seen going back 7 or 8 years. So this is a consistent theme on this list, everyone. These markets are experiencing a wall of inventory, an inventory explosion that is unprecedented. Inventory in Tampa, St. Pete's up by almost double year over year. And if we switch to the monthly graph, everyone, I mean, just take a look at this. It's going up like a hockey stick. And when inventory goes up like a hockey stick, that's got to scare you as a buyer or an investor, because it's a signal that things are changing so rapidly in the market. The buyers are down, the sellers are up, that it's like almost like you don't even know what the market is and how bad the downturn is going to be. Because the last thing you want to do as a buyer or an investor is do what, everyone? You don't want to catch a falling knife. I mean, it'd be a nightmare scenario for a lot of you guys out there. It's like, say you were to buy a house like this in St. Petersburg, 4-bed, 3-bath on the market for $950,000. I mean, really expensive for everyone, but the seller has done a recent $40,000 price cut in addition to a previous $100,000 price cut. So they have cut the price by $150,000. However, you got to be very careful in a situation like this because the price cut might look nice. However, in this zip code 33712, you can see something very, very scary. And that's the fact that home values in this zip code are 58% overvalued compared to their long-term norm, suggesting that there is huge potential downside in prices if the worst case scenario plays out and inventory keeps growing and we hit a recession and there's other bad things that happen. There's lots of price downside in a zip code like this. And so what I would encourage you to do, if you're a buyer and investor trying to understand this market, don't only try to understand the current trends and the current direction in prices, but try to also understand the potential fundamental downside of how much prices could drop if the worst case scenario were to occur. And to do that, you could look at the overvaluation rate for your zip code and city on Reventure app. Before we do that, everyone, I want to get into the top 4 here, the top 4 cities where prices are dropping right now, because these cities are kind of like a cut above all the other ones on this list so far in terms of how many price cuts there are, in terms of how much the list prices are going down. I mean, some of these cities, it's actually shocking how quickly the market has shifted into a decline. Leading with our number 4 city where prices are dropping the most right now, Cape Coral, Fort Myers, where you can see the median list price for houses has declined by 6.6% over the last year. And in general, you could see median list prices have declined a lot in South Florida, everyone. I would encourage you to check out this data on ReventTrap when you get a chance. But we see like in Naples, list prices are down 11%. This area in general is getting hit very, very hard. And the reason is because the pandemic's over, everyone. Like the amount of people moving into Florida has slowed significantly. In addition, lots of people are now leaving Florida. I was just in Florida about 3 weeks ago and I talked to the locals and a lot of them told me they want to get out because it's too hot, too crowded, and the insurance and HOA fees, they're too expensive. So don't be surprised if Florida is entering a phase where its housing market might be in a downturn for not just like 1 year or 2 years. We could be on the precipice of a big multi-year downturn in Florida's housing market, given how overvalued it is and given the demographic shifts we're seeing in less people moving in and more people moving out. A trend which is also impacting our number 3 city where home prices are dropping the most right now. This was yet another pandemic boomtown, everyone. This would be the number 1 pandemic boomtown. I actually lived in this city for about 15 months and saw it with my own eyes in 2020 and 2021. How many just like random people moved to this city and bought homes and bought investment properties. And so many people were saying prices in this city are going to go up forever. Well, not the case in Austin, Texas. You can see in Austin, the median listing price for a house is down by about 11% from peak, while the typical home value is down about 17% from peak. And these data points, median listing price and typical home value, they come from different sources. Median listing price comes from Realtor.com, while typical home value comes from Zillow. And they show somewhat like a similar thing. They show basically how much homes are going for. However, the median listing price is actually the price of the houses listed on the market, whereas Zillow's typical home value attempts to estimate the value for all homes in the area. So there could be some differences between both of those and what the data says. However, in Austin, they agree. Prices are dropping and dropping by a lot, and they will likely continue dropping because the inventory in the Austin housing market has now surged up to almost 10,000 homes, a level that we have not seen anything close to in the last 7 or 8 years. Now, before getting into the top 2 on this list, everyone, I want to leave you guys kind of with like a word of advice. And that's the fact that things can change in the housing market, right? Like this is not a static analysis. We're doing this analysis in the middle of 2024. And in a couple months, things could change. Mortgage rates could go up higher, they could drop, we could see a recession, we could not see a recession. All those things could impact the direction of inventory and price cuts and overall price levels in the market. So it's inherent on you as a buyer and investor to track this data month by month so you can make an informed decision and see the trends happen in real time. And what you really want to look out for are those trends in inventory. So hit the monthly tab here on ReventTrap and see like, what's inventory doing? Is it shooting up out of control like it is in Austin? Well, if it's shooting up out of control, then it's a signal that we're going to see more downside in the market. Now, let's get into our top 2. Our number 2 housing market where prices are dropping the most right now is one that maybe some of you wouldn't expect. This market, it's very expensive. It's on the west coast of America, and it's one that a lot of people still think is doing well, actually. Like I talk to people and they still say like, oh, this market is going up. But no, folks, when you look at the data, home prices in Denver are going down. You can see the median listing price in Denver, as well as nearby Colorado Springs, has gone down by 6% year over year. But what really makes me think the prices are going to keep dropping in the future is the fact that the price cuts are now up to 36% of all listings, which you can see, once again, is the highest level that we've seen in 7 years, indicating downward price pressure. In addition, the inventory on the Denver housing market has now skyrocketed to the highest level that we've also seen in the last 7 years. And it's going up like a hockey stick. So be very, very careful. Prices in Denver likely to go down over the next 6 to 12 months. All of the data in this video, everyone, it's available for you to see for yourself for your state, city, and zip code, so you as a buyer and investor can make a more educated decision and know when or when not to buy. Using this data, it's going to be so helpful to you in adding value to your decision-making process and avoiding making a big multi-$100,000 mistake in the market, like that guy in Nashville I showed you in the beginning. He bought last year for $800,000. Now he's selling for $730,000. If he had looked at the data, he wouldn't have done that. So go to www.reventure.app and sign up for a premium plan. The cost is $39 a month, which is ultimately extremely affordable compared to the cost of buying a house and having a good insight into where the direction the market is heading. And you could look at the metro view, the county view, the zip code view, but really the data points I would encourage you to check out are the ReventTrap home price forecast score, the overvaluation rate, as well as the inventory trends, and the price cut trends. But now we got to do number one, everyone, which you guys have all been waiting for. Number one, the city where price is going down the most right now and will continue to drop. It was hard to decide on this number one city because a lot of the cities on this list, I showed you guys the data. I mean, in a lot of them, it's just so clear the market's in a downturn. Skyrocketing inventory, skyrocketing price cuts, median list prices in many cases going down. But I had to pick one city to be number one. And that city is in Florida. And it's a place where, we're seeing that trifecta I mentioned before really take hold of skyrocketing inventory, skyrocketing price cuts, and the median list price declining. Be very, very careful if you're a buyer in this area in Northport, Sarasota, where the median list price is down 9% year over year, where the for sale inventory is now skyrocketed to the highest level that we've seen, once again, going back in the data history, and where the price cuts, once again, are now at the highest level that we've seen back in the data history, suggesting home prices are going to go down, according to the home price forecast score on ReVenture app.